Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to talk about drop shot baits and some of the baits that I cannot go without. As much as I find drop shots to be a tedious technique that leads to a lot of headaches, specifically when you're talking about having a tag end, you generally get some line twists. Sometimes if you're fishing a net, the weight will get caught in the net. It just leads to a hassle a lot of times. But there is no denying that a drop shot is one of the best techniques that we have as a bass angler. In fact, it's not just for bass fishing. A drop shot is a really good technique to use for multi species fishing as well. There's a lot of different uh, types of anglers that target species from freshwater to saltwater using a very similar technique to a drop shot. But having said all that, I wanted to give you some of the baits that I absolutely love, kind of give you an idea as to where and when I like to use them, and hopefully it helps you catch a few more fish. Now, before I get to those baits, I do want to remind you that I have a members only channel. So if you're looking for more content from me, check that out. You can hit the join button on my homepage, find out everything you need to know. Also, if you just want to support the channel and you need to purchase tackle, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. You can bookmark it for future purchases. And I'll put links to these baits in the video description so that you can have a quick search to those items. Today's video is brought to you by the Deep Dive app, which will help you select the best fishing places in the lake with features like the lake level, the current flow, the top baits tool, which will help you select the best baits for certain locations throughout the lake. Whether that's a clear water, stained water, dirty water, it'll choose the best bait for that location, provide you with all the information like what structure, what retrieve, different reel, all of the information that you need to catch the fish. This is in the app. The cool part about this app, though, is it's not just based on areas. It does provide you with specific tournament winning data that has been collected to help you figure out your best choices for baits and locations for whatever region of the lake it is that you want to fish. On top of that, not only does the app provide you with best locations, it gives you water clarity as well. So maybe you're on a lake like Lake Eufaula, where there is a bunch of different water clarity located throughout the entire lake. This will help you identify the clearest portions as well as the dirtiest portions of the lake. Plus, the Deep Dive app has now added the wind effect map, which is going to take all of the different wind conditions for the past couple of days and show you what banks on the lake are being hit the hardest. They also have inflow points that show you different places throughout the lake where your water is being flushed into the lake through different ditches and creeks and rivers, providing you with high percentage places to fish and letting you know what parts of the lake are going to be the best areas after a rain. Check out the Deep Dive app to help you become a better angler. All right, so let's talk about the first product here, the first bait. This is a little 3-inch Kitech Easy Shiner in the Sexy Shad color. This is one of my absolute favorite drop shot baits. Now, for me, there's two ways I'll rig it. One way I could nose hook it on just a small drop shot hook, or if I'm fishing around some areas where I'm not necessarily looking for as much movement out of the bait, I'll actually rig it on a straight shank hook like a rebarb hook by Roboworm or the TK180 by Trocar. In either case, those hooks can be really good just to thread the minnow on as a whole. But the small little easy shiner like this guy is something that can generate a lot of strikes when fish are extremely finicky. Plus, there's a lot of times where the fish are keying in on really small bait fish, and that's when these little guys really come into play. The one thing I like about them is how limber the tail is. Real fine little tail kick, so it does not take much movement at all, either based on your rod tip or on if there's any current flow to get that little tail moving and you have a real lifelike natural little kick. It's not like a lot of other swim baits that have real wide tail kicks. This is just a real tight little tail kick. But it works really, really well on a drop shot. So that's one to check out. They also offer that in a bunch of different sizes, smaller than that and bigger than that. So you can kind of match the hatch based on what you're fishing. Now, anytime you're talking drop shots, you gotta be considering this guy right here. I just dropped one It's the Berkeley maxent flatworm. So this is the 4¼ inch size. I like both the 3.5 and the 4¼ Any of your green pumpkin colors or your natural shad imitations are great colors to have. If you're fishing anywhere in smallmouth country or where you have a mixed species of bass, you need to be throwing a little flatworm. This thing has just got an amazing movement in the water, and it tends to generate strikes. I don't know exactly what it is about that shape, but they love that shape. And of course, you're dealing with the maxent as well. So anytime you're talking drop shots, you got to be looking at using one. I will, if I'm fishing primarily largemouth, that's when I really like to throw the 4¼ If I'm fishing primarily smallmouth, a lot of times I'll throw the smaller version. And if I'm fishing a mixed species, a lot of times I'll mix it up. So I very much use both sizes. Absolutely love it. I feel like more tournaments have been won on that bait in the last handful of years than almost any other bait, especially if it's a drop shot. So that's a key. And if you're talking about money being won, this is another one that you got to have. These are the Roboworm straight tail. They're hand poured worms, any of the morning dawn style colors. So your pink worms. I don't know what it is about the pink worm, but bass love this thing. For me, it's a bait that it catches smallmouth, catches spotted bass, but I really love it for largemouth. And if I'm fishing a southern reservoir that's got a little bit of current, like the Tennessee River lakes, I'm always going to have a drop shot rigged up to give me something that's a little bit more finessey approach that the fish just have a hard time resisting. You know, especially if you're talking those ledge lakes where a lot of those fish see bigger baits, bulkier baits, 10-inch worms, 12-inch worms, big football jigs, big swim baits. When you give them an easy meal on a drop shot like the Roboworm, they have a really hard time denying it. I feel like if you were to talk to all the pros out there and you said, you know, what's one drop shot worm I could have? A very, very high percentage of them would say a morning dawn colored Roboworm. Like, I bet you almost every pro out there has it, not one bag, but several bags in their boat. So that's one that you got to have. Another one that I've had a ton of success on is the 4-inch shad shaped worm by Yamamoto. This again is a really good lifelike presentation. It matches the hatch really well. I like to throw it in your natural colors, like a natural shad color. This is actually a chocolate color with just a clear belly on it. It was a special order color, but I've had a lot of really good luck on this guy. The shad shaped worm, again, you can rig it similar to what I mentioned before with that easy shiner. You can nose hook it. You can run a straight shank hook through it. It's just got a very limber, natural tail, good presentation, and it just offers a really good, hard to resist drop shot bait for the bass. Both largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, really good presentation to have. So I've got a bunch of those in my boat. And then the last one might surprise you a little bit. Maybe not. I like to throw a 4-inch maxent, the General by Berkeley. The 4-inch to me on a drop shot, and I'll rig it wacky style. So I'm not going to rig it through the nose. I'm going to rig it wacky style. And this bait, you know, you can fish it in a bunch of different ways, but I really try to fish it more like a weightless wacky than I would anything else. I generally go with a long leader, so like a 3-foot leader, and I'll throw it to, say, an outside weed line that might be in 14 feet of water. That bait falls to the bottom, and then I let it actually fall on slack line. So, you know, you've got your wacky rig, slow, natural fall for that bottom 3 feet. Really good presentation to draw strikes from fish that are lethargic. They're looking for an easy meal, and the 4-inch General really fills that void. There are definitely a lot of times where, for whatever reason, the little 3-inch and 4-inch sizes of a soft stick bait will outperform the standard 5-inch size. And on a drop shot, I really like to throw that little 4-inch General. Very good for all species of bass. So those are baits. If I'm going drop shot fishing, I've got lots and lots of packs of all of these in pretty much those colors in some form or fashion. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know in the comment section, what are your go-to drop shot baits that you have to have in the boat with you at all times? I'd love to see what you guys are using as well. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. We'll have a new one coming out tomorrow.